very good morning. I'm so pleased to be with all of you in the beautiful city of Amsterdam on this beautiful day, which we don't always have for those of you who live in the Netherlands, right? And of course, everybody's in a good mood. So I believe this is a gathering for employee experience, and I think a lot of you are from similar background as I am, but a lot of employee experience professionals as well who are probably focused on the topic. And what I wanted to talk about today, and when I was talking to Mihai about this conference, was how do we take the lens of talent, right? The talent experience, and how do you define every employee experience versus the specific experience that you want to focus on for your critical talent in some of the critical workforce segments, and ensure that they have the right experience through all your processes, right? So this is the lens that I'm going to bring to you, but really look forward to learning from you as well, right? So please, let's keep it interactive. A bit about Philips before I start, right? Philips, and I'm sure many of you know about Philips, we started with the light bulb, right? But 130 years ago. But we've really diversified our focus in the years after that. We are now squarely focused on healthcare technology, and those are the strategic choices we've made. But can you imagine starting from a light bulb to becoming a very powerful consumer electronic brand name to now focusing on healthcare technology? The kind of skills that you need and the culture that you need is vastly different, right? And that has needed us to transform, relook at our capabilities all the time, and we're still in that process, right? We're still in the process of building those capabilities and mindset. However, one thing that stays the same for us is creating meaningful innovation that improves lives. So that's a passion that drives the core of Philips. We are all about innovation, and that has been evident in the way we've run consumer electronics and lighting. But now we want to bring it to healthcare technology with a focus on patient safety and quality. Like I said, for us to be able to do this, building a strong talent experience, making sure that talent sees us as a place to join, to grow, to have a meaningful career in, especially tech talent, right? Because, I mean, many of you who work in what were traditional industries some time back, there is no traditional industry left anymore. We're all technology companies in some way or the other, right? So how do we make sure that talent that doesn't associate necessarily Philips with the kind of place that would be, first on their list to apply to, they feel attracted to apply to us, they have a good experience in joining us, onboarding, and developing their careers, right? So that's been a bit of focus, but it's a journey. We're not there yet. So what I'm going to share with you today are some of the experiments we've been running and how they've been successful or not so successful, and look forward to, like I said, keep learning from you. So for a point of time, I worked with Deloitte in the Netherlands, and my focus was talent strategy and future of work. And we used to use this model, Berson's talent management maturity model. And I'm sure many of you have seen it, right, on Josh Berson's blog posts and some of the sites. I used to use this framework to really assess the maturity of talent processes for my clients and provide recommendations, right? And I find this a really powerful framework. And I did this project across industries. I worked with ING, for Shell, we did it for Stolt-Nielsen, so many different industries, many different companies. And I don't know if any of you are from those companies, happy to connect later on. The one thing that I found across these companies was no matter the quality of talent processes, the quality of systems implemented, the difference that was there in a company that was just great at creating a powerful talent experience and a talent ecosystem, and a company that still had a lot to do, was talent culture. And I'm just going to pause here to just see some reactions, right? And it's unbelievable how much developing, investing in talent matters to leadership. How much you're invested in it as a company is the one thing that I saw that made all the difference. You could implement the best systems, right? You could have the best processes. But if you don't have that talent culture and mindset with your leadership, talent does not feel that powerful experience. So that was an insight for me, as I worked through some of these clients, right? And that's one of the things, and I in my last 7 months, I was actually fortunate to be leading our leadership development and org effectiveness portfolio ad interim, stepping in for a colleague. And that was the big focus that I had. How do we get our leaders to really make this a passion, a habit, a part of their job, and something they need to do really well? What I'm going to try to do, and what we're looking at Philips, is really taking our lens of the talent philosophy that we've articulated, and this is the Philips talent philosophy. I'm not going to walk you through all of it, but just touch on a few points. And how do we make sure that this philosophy, embedded through the employee life cycle, brings alive our talent experience, right? So if you look at the first 3-4 points, cross-organizational moves, right? I'm sure many of you relate with this, but we have the challenge of leaders really looking at talent in their silos, right? And not really moving talent across. But talent becomes valuable when they are moved across and gain different experiences. We invest in strategic capabilities disproportionately. That's a conscious call. And when I talk about the talent experience, I'll also talk about how we're looking at some of these capabilities and skills. The accountability for career development, and no-brainer here, is shared by employees as well as leaders. And we make sure that leaders are equipped and expected to scout for talent, right? It's part of their job. So these are some philosophies which, if you look at the typical talent life cycle, and I'm probably gonna run away from this slide very quickly because all of you probably have better slides than this, but if you just look at a very basic journey, how do we bring alive the talent experience and this talent philosophy through the employee life cycle? I'm gonna touch on 3-4 things here, given the time that we have, and of course, happy to interact further, like I said, during coffees. So starting with attraction, right, and our employee value proposition. So we had a powerful value proposition, but remember, it was for this diversified conglomerate where we had personal health, we were selling TVs, air fryers, and by the way, also medical devices, right? And when we really started to focus on becoming a healthcare technology company, we said we need to really anchor into our purpose of improving people's lives, right? So how do we bring across the messaging to talent? And really, if we zoom in to the strategic capability of tech talent and data analytics talent that we want to build in the organization, how do we appeal to them and say that, hey, this is a place you would love to join and build a career in? So what you're seeing here is really the output, a very high-level summary of how we are positioning towards tech talent based on a lot of work by our recruitment, marketing, and EVP team, based on what we do really well as a company, right? What we do really well is we make a world of difference because it's linked to our purpose. We harness the power of together. If you join Philips, the first thing you will feel is welcome, and how great people are at supporting you, and how everybody makes time to invest in your success. And that's the feeling, that's our strength that we wanted to highlight. And of course, grow as yourself. This is something we keep working on. But we want to tell tech talent that it's not just about tech for the sake of tech and making a tech entrepreneur a billionaire, but it's tech for life, right? How do you make an impact on people's life? So I'd like to share with you a small video, which is actually targeted towards a tech talent, and maybe our capable team there can play it for us at the moment.
Wake up. It's run time. The race is tight, so you have to be fast. Don't worry, we'll have your back, help you get up to speed. You'll be working with the best at their best. So you have to speak up. Here, your voice will be heard. You'll be asked to take the lead, so be prepared to fail. But remember, we're in this together. So we show up, we learn, we change, and we do it again, and we keep doing it until we get it right. We'll give you everything you need, and then some. Just keep moving forward. Every release, every single push counts, and there will be many, at speeds you can't imagine. The odds are stacked high. Our tech is stacked higher. You can choose your tools, build the team, bring in the experts, drive the changes to meet the challenge. This is not about winning awards. This is a race for the future, for the health of everyone on the planet. We won't stop doing everything we can, giving everything we've got to make life better for all of us. Wake up. It's run time. Innovation and you, Philips.
So this is, of course, like I said, the software talent that we are targeting. But one practice that we try to do in every meeting, we try to implement in every meeting, is we start with the patient story. We have, of course, our communications team has this plethora of videos where our sales and account management teams interact with our patients who are talking about how Philips products made their lives better, in some cases saved their lives, or improved their lives, right? So we start with that, every meeting with that, really anchoring into our EVP, irrespective of whether you're in software or not, to make sure that we bring our purpose alive at every employee touch point. Candidate experience, right? I'm not going to talk so much on this. I'm not a talent acquisition expert, but some brilliant work that our TA team did. In 2022, we were looking at hiring, I think, close to 5,000 people in India around technology, and we had to really hire at scale. And you know the market, right? Everybody is looking for the same software talent. The challenge for us was, how do we hire at scale yet provide a strong candidate experience? I'm so proud of this team because they really leveraged a lot of our EVP and recruitment marketing campaigns to go out to the market and really attract that talent, and actually implemented agile recruiting, working in scrums to make sure that the candidate response time was really reduced to close to, I think, what you see, like close to 80 days by the time we ended, from 140 days, which is also reasonably high, and they're still working on it in 2023. But also leveraging AI to ensure screening at scale, which really sped up the process, right? And we've got great feedback from business, great feedback from candidates, and they measure candidate experience, of course. The scores have been very high. Of course, the AI solution is a bit challenging to implement in European market, given some of the GDPR considerations. At the moment, we're running it in India as well as the US, right? So really making sure how every person who has a touch point with Philips, whether you get selected or not, gets a response, right? And that was a feedback we were getting from candidates. They never hear back from people. Another feedback was having multiple recruitment stages in the process, right? Multiple panelists. So we really reduced that. They created pool hiring. So we created pools of software developers who were ready to onboard when the requisitions were getting approved. So we are not running behind time, as well as making sure there's a managed set of people. We call them skill raisers or bar raisers, who are experts in that skill we're hiring for. And they are the ones who hire. Every manager does not need to select every software developer, right? So difficult discussions with people managers, as you can imagine, but we try to take that away. So this is a bit about building hiring experience, and then onboarding, right? Since we were hiring at scale, last 2 years as Philips, we actually created a global onboarding COE, right? And I see some nods, so you probably have met Nitya, my colleague. So she really focused on onboarding as a priority topic, because we wanted to make sure this part of something really basic in HR, right? I mean, come on, who doesn't do onboarding and who doesn't know about onboarding? But we did realize that the big, massive company that we are, the complex company that we are, when people come in, they were getting lost. And as you want to scale up hiring, you want to continue to focus on your experience. This is a critical element to drive. So we've driven 3 elements, 3 big elements. So there's, of course, the normal wide company onboarding. We also have deep dive functional onboarding, again, focused on some of our critical capabilities. So we have a detailed functional onboarding for all software developers, actually starting from pre-boarding. So even when they accept the offer and they haven't joined yet, there's already a lot of engagement. And a proper structured onboarding for software developers, for data analytics professionals, and so on, which is deep-rooted into engaging them with what Philips is doing. We've been tracking data, and it's showing really promising results. So 91% of new hires rate positive onboarding experience. If you look at role clarity, right, which really makes sure how fast you're successful in your new role, that has got really high score. So it's showing really promising results. And of course, now we are kind of sunsetting the COE and merging it into our leadership development COE. But this was really a big focus area to drive the experience, and actually discussed in every leadership team once in a quarter, at Philips. So a big focus that we drove for 2 years. And of course, development, right? How do you ensure powerful career experience? And nothing here is rocket science or new, right? All of us have these processes in place. Some of us have implemented talent marketplace. Some of us maybe are thinking about it, right? But I think what I find is, how do you share the narrative with employees and people leaders, right? You can, like I said, you can have the best systems, but if your employee does not know how to navigate through this, and the people leader does not know what to pick from your toolkit and when to leverage it, it is really no point, right? We're wasting our time and money. So we've been running facilitated session for all employees being in the driver's seat. How do you really think about your own passions, your interests, right? And making sure that you leverage these tools to build your IDPs, but also mentoring and sponsoring events. Of course, we have a number of mentoring programs for women leaders, general mentoring programs, as well as reverse mentoring programs, and we continue to relook at them, consolidate, diversify, improve. We use a talent card, which I'm sure many of you use in Workday, which is like your CV, including your skills and your career interests. Of course, and regular check-ins with manager, our performance management system, requesting people managers to make sure there's an ongoing check-in, which is also recorded in the system, and that's our expectation of them. And we also measure people leaders. They have an objective of how they, on a sustained way, develop their people and actually build their career as well as succession strength, right? So this is how we encourage employees. We've launched Talent Marketplace now for 2 years. We've focused it squarely on development, right? So if you want to develop new skills, you can apply to gigs and really kind of work between 1 to 4 days a week as part of your job on a gig. And of course, really allows you to experiment with roles that you want to go into in the future, right? So really to fast track our talent development, career mobility, if you remember from our talent philosophy, really how do we get talent to move across? And when a people manager has actually seen you work, even if it's 4 hours a week, they're more likely to maybe hire you for the job that you're interested in. So leveraging gigs, and career hub functionality in Workday, which is, I think, a really, I think we don't use it enough yet. So we launched it last year, but really thinking of how do we activate it to people, right? Because once you list down the skills you're interested in, it actually provides AI-based recommendations on the skills you need to pick up, the opportunities you should apply to, the people you should network with in Workday, the gigs you should raise your hand to, right? So really using technology and data. But like I said, all of this is there, right? It's all there, and we've got some great technology, data measuring, but how do you activate it with people? And that's something we're focused on. Another program that we launched is called Talent Insider. And again, coming back to our talent philosophy of moving people across and the challenge that sometimes people leaders just don't want their best people to go. What we did was we enabled our talent acquisition team to headhunt internally, basically, right? I'm sure some of you have also experimented with this, but one feedback that we got always in our exit surveys was lack of career opportunities, right? And which is insane because We have so many open job recs. We are hiring in numbers, and then people are leaving because of lack of career opportunities, right? So we wanted to make sure our TA team, our talent acquisition team, is able to headhunt internally through the talent cards. Remember, I talked about it. If you are a certain number of years in the job, I think it's 12 or 18 months even, and you've updated your talent cards, you've updated the kind of roles you're interested in, a recruiter can look at your profile and just tap you on the shoulder. And you don't need to seek permission, of course, from your manager. But this is something we're leveraging very actively to tap people on the shoulder. And of course, you always have the prerogative to refuse, right? But really making talent feel that they can really tap the breadth and the geographic reach of Philips to explore their careers. So really bringing this gig, career hub, talent insider together from a talent management and talent acquisition perspective, and really looking at it from employee lens, activating it to people, but through whom, right? There's one critical element in this, and that is the people leader. People leaders, and in my last 8 months of leadership development, my insight has been it is the most overwhelmed population that we have in the organization. And I see some smiles because I'm sure many of you are people leaders, right? How much we've asked of the people leaders, starting from the pandemic, when we asked them to become empathetic leaders while they were going through their own challenges, learn to manage hybrid teams, right? Have discussions around how many days in office or not, build culture for virtual teams. We've asked so much of them. And we found that people leaders are the most overwhelmed population that we have, actually. Industry data shows the maximum rate of burnouts in people leaders, right? So I think the least we can do when we go about in our HR world, launching all these best practice initiatives that we call them, right, is to make it simple, bring it all together for the people leader, and really make it via moments that matter to say, if this is a challenge you face, or if this is a question that you face, this is what you do, this is the tool you use, right? So that's the work I really focused on in the last 8 months, and I feel really thrilled about it because so far we've covered 14% of our global people leaders, but really focusing on 3 things, and we're also going through a lot of change, by the way, right? So we are also asking them to lead their teams through change on top of everything they have to do. So to make sure that first people leaders take care of themselves, so leveraging all our well-being offerings, we say, listen, first put your own oxygen mask on. How are you, right? Ensuring our leaders run people leader sessions in their domains and getting people leaders together where they can discuss their challenges, they're facing with teams, exchange best practices, or how they've handled a difficult situation. And that's the one which actually got the best feedback compared to all fancy leadership development, programs that we've launched, right? Just exchanging with each other. So really making sure they come together, leverage well-being offerings, and then leverage the well-being offerings and psychological safety to lead with care, right? Lead their teams with care, lead through ambiguity, and of course, engage and retain talent. And really bringing some of the tools and processes that I've shown you, making it simple for them to actually activate it to their team. So this is how we are on the journey of continuing to build a positive talent experience. I'd love to hear yours and any questions, and happy to answer.